kind of like that.
Royal blue.
I was just yelled across the room. It's kind of like that Hitler game.
Secret Hitler.
Yeah, Secret
hmm
Hitler. Great game. Hilarious. Just double check everything. We're live. Yeah, that's good. It's all set up. 3 box should be all set up and good. Yep, we're all set. Dom ready?
hmm
Jake ready?
Ready.
Cool. Starting in 5, 4. Well, let me just cue the music first. Okay, starting in
That'd be
5,
help.
4, 3, 2, 1. Warning, this podcast contains spoilers. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the As Seen on TV podcast for American Horror Story Cult, Episode 6, Midwestern Assassin. I'm your host Mike, and joining me is Dom.
Hello.
And the hidden Jake.
Oh.
I approve.
I could see that clown killing me.
I don't want to see that clown killing me. So, elephant in the room out of the way. This was the edited
Excuse
episode.
me. Would you call me?
I didn't call you anything, sir. Please don't
Called
kill
you an
me.
elephant.
Please don't show up at my house in that makeup at 3 a.m. I'll scream.
He called you an elephant.
I'll
Anyway.
count for it. Then.
So this was the edited episode for the TV airing. They cut some footage out of the opening scene. I only
Yeah.
saw the unedited version because
I
I
saw
watched it
both.
online.
Yeah, I saw both. I watched the on-demand on my TV and my DVR version. The major differences between the two was anytime somebody was shot and fell to the ground, they didn't show it. All you heard was gunshots going off and clever cutting. They didn't add any new footage, or it wasn't like alternate takes or anything like that. It was clear. It was just cutting. They did. So you didn't see the girl get shot and fall into the fountain. You didn't see. There was a guy that got shot next to the fountain that had an outstretched hand that was reaching for Ivy. You didn't see that, and then he gets shot in the head. You didn't see that. It literally just cut to Ivy crouched behind the fountain. It showed Billy on the street. I don't remember his name. Harrison, I think. It showed Harrison try to get her and run. You know, it showed that stuff. The only other slight modification to the scene besides not showing bodies was the police radio. They changed a lot of the police chatter. They actually cut out all of the police chatter saying one suspect with a gun, like all this stuff. All you heard in the edited version was drop it. You know?
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right then. So anyway, after all the chaos is done, we see Allie standing there, holding the gun, shaking. And there's Kai, seemingly injured or dead, on the stage. And
Mhm.
for a second there, I thought, this is our mid-season twist. They just revealed the cult. For sure, to us, they just revealed the leader, and now he's dead.
They're not going to kill him.
No, they're not. I mean, we find out later that they didn't. I think we didn't, right?
He's alive. He went out on
he
the
was on a
stretcher.
He was on a
and
stretcher.
he
That's right.
had a huge smile on his face.
Yeah, that's right. He was on a stretcher. So I thought, initially, that's their twist. They kill him off.
I thought so too, but then I thought to myself, I reminded myself what show I'm watching.
So anyway, we get another flashback. A few days here. We get a couple of flashbacks actually. one brief one that we can talk about is when Ivy met Kai for the first time.
Mhm.
It was the day after Election Day, and Ivy's talking to Winter, freaking out, like, I saw him at the voting, on election night. I saw him voting. He was there. He cut his own fucking arm off, and he was there to vote. And then, Winter's just like, you need to meet my brother.
Oh,
Yeah.
yay.
But I love that like they tried to play. Well, I tried to play, the Pinky Truth game, and she was like, "I'm not doing that." Finally, I was like, "Okay, thank you." Because it's like everybody's just so willing to do it that I wanted to. I didn't understand why they were doing it, and now kind of realize Kai's manipulated everyone to the point where, they felt like they had to, and now that they're in the routine of doing it.
And then Ivy's like, no, like, that's like juvenile, what the hell? But it is during that Pinky game that Ivy lets it all go and realize that she has been growing to hate Allie since Ozzy was born.
Yeah, and we did finally get the answer to whose mother Ollie actually is.
Yes.
I think we always knew that.
I thought it was Ivy.
I don't know. I don't think it was ever. It was never.
No,
I didn't
it was
know.
never said. It was never said. But I was under the impression that it was Ivy, because
Yeah, I thought so too, but then I started thinking to
And
myself,
you know what's funny? Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jake. Finish off.
it's a classic bait and switch. They were leading us to believe with like little subtle hints that were dropped that it was Ivy. But then I started thinking about it and I said, no, maybe I am reading too much into it, and these are just, simple phrases that Ozzy would say regarding Ivy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought maybe he's actually Allie's biological son.
I was
So that's
thinking.
what I tried to go off of.
I mean, I think the genetic of it threw me off too, like the blonde hair and
Yeah, and that all threw me off, and I thought, maybe they adopted him as an infant and raised him as their own. Like, I was going that route. But, I mean, now we get it for sure that it's...
Well, it makes sense for the character, and will make sense for Ozzy's character and for Allie's character, and for the dynamic that they have, that they would be biologically related.
And Allie was just... Ivy got none of the motherhood out of it. Basically, that she wanted.
yeah.
There's this, I don't understand why. Okay. So we know why she stayed. She stayed for Ozzy.
Mm-hmm.
But she doesn't want to, file for divorce because she's afraid she won't get full custody.
Right.
Well,
I mean, she wouldn't.
No, she won't. But here's the thing: if you're unhappy, take yourself out of the unhappy situation. I know you have a kid, and you want to keep him. That's understandable. I'm not a mother, so I wouldn't know what length one would go to. But if you're ultimately unhappy and there's one reason and it's your kid, that's not really the reason you're staying. It's the reason that you settled on about why you're staying. Then what the fuck are you doing here?
Yep. Yeah, it's never good to just settle.
No, it's not. And, apparently that's what happened.
Don't feel obligated to do anything if you're ultimately unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that during that, Ivy tells Kai, and then the latest icing on the cake was she voted for Jill Stein, and Kai's just looks at her like, you can see this look, Evan Peters does brilliantly, like, that monster. She must be stopped. I don't know. I just found that moment funny.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's one of our flashbacks. Another one is flashbacks to. This isn't really even a huge flashback. It's just a few days to the Meadow situation. she's yelling at Allie through the window like, "It's a cult! Everybody's in it! You know, my husband, the police, your wife!" And then she gets the bag thrown over her head and disappears. So, pick up there. And, you know, Allie calls Dr. Vincent, which we now know is a bad idea, but Allie doesn't. And his advice is go to sleep. You know, get some sleep.
Why are you paying this stranger?
That. The best thing for you to do to, you know, keep Oz and make it all look good and all that stuff is go to sleep right now. Don't do anything. Okay, good night. And then can of mace and a butcher knife. I don't know. I just laugh. I don't know why I found that funny. Her running across the street in the middle of the night with mace and a knife. Like, you're going to go rescue a woman in a pit in the ground. Well, not anymore, but
She was taken away.
from a gun nut and a cop.
Yeah, and I'm just curious how many of the people knew, like, were in on it, because, like, we see Harrison and the detective know for sure, and that kind of explains why they just casually walked back into the house after and was like, oh, she's with a friend.
Yeah.
You know, from what, 2 episodes ago now? 1 episode ago?
Last episode.
I don't remember.
I think
Yeah.
so.
So, they weren't wrong. Were they in on it? I don't know. Did Kai fill them in? That I don't know. Seems like some people knew, some people didn't, because they wouldn't ask where she was. They wouldn't lie, you know. So I don't think everybody was privy to that information, especially because I think that Kai wanted genuine reactions from them during the shooting,
Yes.
during the speech.
That would make sense. Yeah, Allie gets over there and rescues Meadow. Saves her. Runs her back across the street. And takes her the fuck out of there. At which point Meadow spills the beans. All these people who are in the cult, including your wife. Tells her all the juicy secrets that the whole plan is, you know, get Kai, you know, elected to city council, which I love that when she's packing up to leave because Kai gave the same, you know, sweet words of wisdom to Ivy. Like the exact same speech
Mm-hmm.
that won Meadow over. And she's like, you know, who, like, a city councilor, how does that, like, lead to world domination?
When has that ever led to world domination?
Nobody outside of this town knows who the fuck you are.
Small
And
victory.
that's where
Small.
it hit Kai in the head, you know, national attention. National coverage.
Yep.
What better way to get national coverage? Mass shooting. That's
Unfortunately.
fucking a horrible thing to say, but yeah.
That's how his mind works.
And unfortunately, though, he's not wrong
No, he's not wrong. And that's
because of media sensationalism.
But here's the sadder thing, or the more sad thing. Something else is going to happen like 2 days later, and everyone's going to forget about you.
oh yeah, exactly. Something else sensational. But my favorite line of the episode, you know, when Allie asks why Ivy's doing all this, maybe she just hates you.
Yeah.
It's like, I really don't like Allie. I'm sorry. Like, I love, again, we've said this probably every episode of this podcast. We love Sarah Paulson. I just hate Ivy. not Ivy, Allie.
Well,
Allie, yeah.
well, I hate Ivy too. I'm trying to figure out. I was thinking about this season, and I ultimately came to the decision that I really like this season.
Yeah.
But I'm not rooting for anybody, which I usually am during any of these seasons. I'm not rooting for anybody. Like nobody. There's nobody on this. I love the actors, but there's no character that I'm like, I want you to succeed in the end. Nobody.
No.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
That's okay. And the reason why that's okay is because these characters are fucking interesting. Kai is like the most interesting character that the show has ever turned out.
Yeah,
I can agree with you on that one.
yeah, because they even referred to him as Charles Manson,
Hmm.
Mhm.
modern day Manson. And like I said, we're going to be getting more of the flashbacks and stuff of different serial killers, starting with next week. But yeah,
Different cult
Which I'm
leaders.
excited for. Um, we have there is an episode titled Charles Manson, and I'm just wondering, are we gonna meet him in some way?
I hope.
Because we had that whole thing in season 5 with all the other like famous killers.
Hmm.
So are we gonna like get something like that? Because that'd be cool.
Well, I have a theory, but when we get to next episode, I'll talk about that.
All right. Well, anyway, yeah, I agree. All interesting characters. I also am not rooting for anybody to win. What Allie is going through is absolutely horrible, and no person should have to go through that. But I also really do not like Allie, so I am not rooting for her to win at all. So there we go.
I honestly think that we would like Allie better if she wasn't like spending so much time being like mentally fucked up. And a lot of that is Ivy's doing because we don't really know Allie other than that.
Yeah, we.
Allie, as normal in her purest form, we might like her. But I think the reason why the way that the show is, and I don't know if they're doing this intentionally or if they're not, but the point this cult is trying to make her insane, but making her insane in the most unlikable way possible.
Right, and obviously the reason for doing that is so Ivy could gain custody of Ozzy.
Yes.
And what better way than to make her, you know, in multiple encounters with the police, make her seem crazy.
Yeah, because I mean, Ivy doesn't want her dead. Mainly because she doesn't want Ozzy to go through the trauma.
Mhm.
But I feel like there's more to it than that. And then
Well,
we
if
also
if she just hated Allie, she would just kill her.
Right.
right, but I don't know. I feel like there's
Having-
more to it. I
There-
really
well,
do.
I'm saying there is more to it. There's more to it than I just hate Allie. If she just hated Allie, she would have killed her.
Hmm.
Having someone go insane, that takes passion.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, because we even see in the house when Ivy confronts Allie, that Allie recognizes her, and Ivy just leaves.
Well, she stands there for like, you know, still for a couple seconds, and then she just leaves because Kai basically gives the "let's get the hell out of here" signal. Speaking of
I didn't
Kai-
realize that she had both parties' faces in that mask until this episode.
Mhm.
She has the elephant and the donkey.
Yep.
Prior to this episode, I thought it was just the elephant.
You know, I honestly don't know if I noticed either. Huh. More details in clown masks. I like it. Anyway, Kai.
Maybe they switch costumes sometimes.
True.
I wear the dress today.
Kai's going through with his city council race. He's up there giving a speech at, you know, their last talking point before the election or whatever. And a challenger appears.
Ooh.
A lady named Sally, who, well, she gets up there, gives a great old speech, gets a lot of applause, and then says, "That's why as soon as the county clerk's office opens tomorrow, I'm filing a letter of intent, and I'm going to be a write-in candidate." And
Yay.
Kai's just smiling and nodding, and I'm like, she's fucking dead tonight. She's never making it to the clerk's office.
This actress plays so many good characters in this series, and they always
Uh-huh.
die.
Uh-huh. I don't know if that gave... I don't know if that's what hit me, but, you know, just the fact that she stood up and gave her full name to Kai, I'm like, she's fucking dead. There's no way she's surviving that night. But yeah, it was in that house that, you know, Allie and Ivy had that interaction, because Allie goes over there after leaving Meadow with Dr. Vincent, who, based on that little scene, I don't know if Meadow realizes that Vincent is in the cult.
I think so.
They have to know, right?
Well, he clearly knows she is. But, like, I don't know if... because...
I mean, he let her go, so...
Yeah, he did let her go, but that's because of what she said. Like, she didn't give anything away to him or anything like that.
She might have. We didn't see that scene, really.
True. But anyway, Allie shows up to Sally's house and spills the beans about the cult. Tells her, there's a cult in our town. All of these people are in it, and your opponent is its leader. And Sally buys the whole thing. Like, yeah, it makes sense. Which,
Oh,
there's a lot of
it's
crazy
not
out there.
well, yeah, which is it's not hard to believe nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Well, if she was having trouble believing it, she wasn't 15 seconds later when the cult showed up at her house.
Oh hey,
Oh, hey, look at this. And she's standing there. I don't know what his laws are in Michigan, but if I was in my house, and if I owned a gun, I don't, but if I was in my house, and I was holding my gun, and a bunch of people holding knives came in dressed as clowns, I wouldn't be waiting for one of them to make a move. I would have opened fire already.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me.
well,
A not gunner.
well, you say that now.
I say that now.
You have it, but you said so yourself. You don't own a gun.
I don't own a gun.
Have you ever held a gun?
Yes, I have fired a gun.
Have you shot it at a person?
Not at a person.
Exactly.
I
There we
know.
go.
Exactly. I don't know how that would go.
I'd do it.
Oh, if there was a guy dressed as a clown brandishing a knife coming at me, fuck yeah, I'd shoot him. I would be shaking afterwards, but I'd still shoot him.
If there's 6 people dressed as clowns standing in my room, I would just shoot them, whether they are wielding knives or not.
Fair.
I'd be like, hey, family.
So yeah, they take her. They kill her, but not before Kai writes. I love Evan Peters. Like the way he's doing the voices, like mimicking the founding fathers, all their speeches and stuff. It just types this long-winded suicide note on Facebook for Sally.
On Facebook.
Yeah.
It had to be on Facebook.
And then posts it, and that's that. And that's
Rest
like
in peace,
rest
Sally.
in pieces, Sally. And that's the whole point, opening of his speech. Like, tragically, my opponent took her own life last night, and
This scene is not fishy at all.
I mean, it's a smaller town city council race. I guess that doesn't seem as fishy as if it was like a Senate race or something like that.
Mm.
But, this challenger stood up yesterday and challenged me to my seat and all this stuff, and last night she killed herself. What?
Who commits suicide by shooting themselves in the chest?
Women do.
The heart is in your chest.
Well, it's actually, statistically, women are less likely to shoot themselves in the head if they commit suicide by gun because they don't want to damage their face. I've read about 6 different articles that mention that. It was even in an episode of CSI.
I would aim for the stomach.
That would take
You could-
longer.
Yeah, and you could still live.
No, you can't.
You can.
If you're shot directly in the stomach, you cannot live. The stomach acid will not allow that.
You have between,
Directly in the stomach. You got
there are
20
to 30 minutes before you die.
Yeah.
There are people who have shot themselves in the stomach who miss.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's why I said directly in the stomach.
See, this is why people who genuinely want to commit suicide, who are for sure want to get the job done, shoot themselves in the head.
And even
They can still live, though.
a number of them fail too.
Yeah.
There are plenty.
No, you don't do it through the mouth. They do it through the brain.
Even then, they fucked up and lived.
But then again, if you do it in the mouth, why do all the people who commit suicide in this show by gun shoot themselves in the mouth? Have you noticed that?
Because it's the most visceral.
Yeah. And it allows them to give the whole, it allows them to give the whole back of the head blowing off effect.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
can't we do a nice effect where we have the puncture through one side of the face and then like the blowout through the other side of the face? Special effects artists, can you do that, please?
Well, it's funny because
Are
like
you-
all the gore and stuff that we've been seeing in this season, and the fact that we've been covering like the different Saw movies and stuff recently, because it's October and we've kind of been looking back on them, getting ready for the new one. I was like, why has there not been talks of a Saw TV series yet?
Because nobody
Like,
wants it.
you could do it.
You could. Uh, I don't know. I guess the format just works better for a film.
You know, somebody's pitched a Saw TV series to some exec
You,
at some point.
I'm sure. Well, Dom, you know my thing with the Saw movies, and I think that rule. Well, not the rule. Sorry, the reason for not liking the Saw movies. I think that reason in particular is why there isn't a series. If you know what I mean.
I mean, it's possible, but I don't know. I could see it being formatted like Scream almost, like the Scream TV series.
Well, I guess so. So like for anybody who doesn't like watch the Saw series that we've been doing, my whole problem with the Saw series is that there's not one character in the Saw series that I find interesting or I can engage myself with. Not necessarily likable characters. A character can be unlikable, but they just got to be interesting and meaningful, and they're not to me. And I think what works about this show is that there are people in this show, characters in this show, that are like fucking pieces of shit. And you don't want to see them succeed, and you don't want them to live.
But
But you are going to watch them because they're fucking interesting, and you're wondering what they're going to do next.
yes, I mean you can go like that's the same deal with why a lot of people love the character Ramsay Snow from Game of Thrones. He was
Yeah,
a piece
and-
of shit. You didn't want to see him succeed, but you loved his scenes because he was one of the most interesting characters on that show.
Yeah,
For a
or like
time.
Rumpelstiltskin from Once Upon a Time, another great example. Or even, I want to talk about this one character who was only in this episode, or at least he was like significant in this episode, and that's what's the reporter's name? Beverly.
Beverly.
Yeah, Beverly.
So her boss.
Bob.
Who,
Bob.
yeah, Bob.
The dead Bob.
The dead Bob. So they're having a little talk, and then he is gonna fire her. And she starts threatening him. She says, "Well, you can fire me, but like, guess what? I have this dirt on you about you and that Miss Thing over there who's dead now." So they plan to go to his house, and they're gonna get rid of him. And then we see him in his house, and he comes downstairs with gloves on and some blood, and he starts licking the blood off his fingers. I'm like, "What the fuck did you just do?"
Mm.
I don't like I want you to die right now, but hold on, before you die, let me know what you were just doing.
Even the side characters that have less than 10 minutes of screen time are more interesting. Is what you're getting at there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we see what he was doing. I'm like, what the?
Yeah. Well, anyway, we get the second showing of the opening scene. This one from Meadows' point of view, because Meadows the one pulling the trigger.
No, it was from Allie's point of view.
Okay, it was from Allie's point of view. Meadows
Screaming at Meadow to
yeah,
stop.
Meadows the one pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
She's the one killing all the people. And then Allie gets right up there close with her. And it's like, this is like, how she put it, this is like true love or the sacrifice for true love or however she put it. And then she shoots herself. And that leaves, she was like,
We find out that this was all part of Kai's plan.
yeah, practically hugging Allie at this point, and Allie winds up with the gun. And Kai's carted away, smiling like a fucking idiot.
Mm-hmm.
There's his national attention.
Yep.
And there's Ivy's reason to sue for sole custody. And yeah. I love this season.
Well, now I'm trying to figure out who is going to make it in the end. Because usually this is when we do get our shift.
True.
But is it gonna? I don't know if that's gonna happen after this episode.
I would
It's gonna
love
next
it.
episode.
I would love it if they broke that formula of the shift.
That'd be nice.
Because it would just
Well,
come out of nowhere for us.
But if they
Well,
do,
next episode is not dealing with Kai at all, as far as I know. We're going to a flashback because the title of the episode, Mike, is what?
Valerie Solanas died for your sins, scumbag.
So, if you know who Valerie Solanas is,
I don't.
she's the girl who tried to murder Andy Warhol. So, seems like we're going back and we're getting the Andy Warhol episode for the next one. So, I don't think we're dealing with any of the present day people.
That'd be interesting.
So I know she attempted to murder him. She was arrested. I don't know all the details of it. When she got out, she died in a hotel of supposed pneumonia, and one of the guards or whatever, said that like the hotel night duty guard, whatever, said that he saw her typing on her typewriter, and she had a bunch of pages, a stack of pages beside her, and whatever she was typing was never revealed because her mother burned all her belongings after she died. So I'm hoping that is explored in this mythology, that we find out what those pages could have been, and give it the American Horror Story twist.
Well, historical fiction in this show is always great.
Right. So I'm hoping what this ends up being some kind of like cult guide, and it's passed down to Kai. And then we see that this particular guide has been changed hands of some different serial killers or something in some form or another.
There was a scene in this episode. Kai had a book. Kai had a really thick book that was like leather bound.
Yeah,
somewhere.
That's kind of what I'm hoping. I hope they go in that direction with this.
I mean, I just hope that, if they do that, I just hope like it's really fucking interesting, because there are times where they do historical fiction a lot on this show. Sometimes it's great, like with the Black Dahlia or like Anne Frank, like those are all great. Sometimes
I think the Anne Frank one was that good.
I love the Anne Frank story. But there are also other times where like they tackle some of that and I'm like, really? Like every single witch who just happened to be in Salem and like they weren't from anywhere else, just went to New Orleans. Okay.
I don't know. But, following the normal trend, we have no synopsis for next week's episode, just the title.
Yeah.
Like if it's going to be a flashbacky episode to, famous cult leaders throughout history, maybe it's possible this is all like Kai's delusional dreams while hopped up on painkillers and anesthesia.
Don't do
it's
that.
it's something completely
I want it to be real, some actual supernatural shit. Can we do that, please?
I'm just hoping it's a flashback, really. Is to what went on during the Andy Warhol times, and
I love when they cast the people for this to play historical figures.
Yeah, because Andy Warhol is going to be played by Evan Peters. That much we know.
Yep. Well, anything else, guys?
No.
No, not really.
Oh, one thing. Those chemical trucks are just spraying water. Do we believe her?
No.
Yeah. I do.
No.
All right, then. And on that last note, Dom, where can they find you?
You can find me down below at Phenomenon, PHENOMEDOM.
Jake, where can they find you in your increasingly interesting makeup?
You can find me and Dolph Like Giggles and Gore and Monsters and Mayhem here on YouTube at Jacob Salazar, or you can find me on Twitter, tweeting me throughout the Delta Life at ToNowhereland. That is TONOWHERELAND. Join the Nowhereland Society.
I think you need to add like Instagram in there and take pictures of all your clown makeup.
Follow me on Instagram at Prince of Nowhereland. That is PRINCENOWHERELAND.
Yeah.
Do that. You can find me on Twitter at Philidrid. You can find all of us on Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, Google+, MySpace, and YouTube. It is ASOTV Podcast. You could follow us at those places for some more podcasts for some of your favorite TV shows, movies, and games. Thank you all for watching. Good night.
Good morrow.
Good morrow.
See you on the morrow, which is a bird.
Yeah, right then. That was the fun fact of the evening. Thank you for watching, everyone. Thank you, Best Game Mafia Online, for a spam message.
Yeah.
Taking this down.